Okay, let's dive in. Imagine this. You pack everything up, move to London, big city, right?
Yeah.
You're figuring out the tube, you start a new job, maybe you're dating someone. Everything feels, well, pretty normal.
A bit overwhelming, maybe. London's huge. But yeah, fundamentally ordinary.
Exactly. And that's where we find our main character today, Richard Mayhew.
He sounds very, very normal. A bit rumpled, kind of boyish, trying to get by.
Right. And London itself, he finds it huge, odd, fundamentally incomprehensible.
Uh-huh.
He sees the tube map as this, like, handy fiction. It makes sense on paper, but it doesn't really map the real city above.
No, not at all. He learns the city more by just absorbing it, osmosis and white knowledge, as the text puts it. Passive.
And like a lot of people who live somewhere long enough, he starts taking it for granted, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, avoids the tourist traps. Unless he absolutely has to. Like with his Aunt Maud, his life feels kind of settled. And a big part of that is his fiancée, Jessica.
Ah, Jessica.
Yeah.
She's described as beautiful, funny, definitely going somewhere.
She sees potential in Richard, a lot of it, and she wants to see it properly harnessed.
She's giving him self-help books, Dress for Success, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Has strong opinions on his flat, thinks it's uncomfortably female, whatever that means.
Huh. And after a year together, she's ready for a ring.
Definitely pushing him towards her idea of success, dragging him to places like Harrods, Harvey Nichols, museums where he's maybe making slightly awkward jokes.
About the price of tea versus the art, yeah. It's a very specific London life she wants, London above.
Precisely. So you've got this picture. Normal guy, maybe a bit passive, living a totally predictable life.
But this is where our deep dive, based on Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere, really kicks off. Because that predictability shatters.
It all hinges on one moment, a small act of kindness.
Just before it happens, though, there's this strange encounter. An old woman on the street gives him 50 pence, thinks he's homeless.
And she gives him this cryptic warning, doesn't she, about doors?
It starts with doors. And then, almost right away, bam, he sees a young woman bleeding, collapsing on the pavement. Door.
And everything in his sensible, ordinary life is screaming, walk away, don't get involved. But he doesn't. He stops. He helps her.
That's the moment, isn't it? That single choice.
Mm-hmm.
And Jessica's reaction is, well, it's instant.
Stark. Richard Oliver Mayhew, you put that girl down.
Oh.
Or this engagement is at an end as of now.
Wow. And Richard, he just keeps walking, carrying door.
Feeling the blood soaking through his shirt, ruining his suit, his brain screaming, but he does it. He chooses her, the unknown, over his old life.
And the consequences are immediate. And pretty absolute.
Totally. He tries calling Jessica. Phone's off, answering machine's off. He goes to work the next day.
And his colleagues, Gary, Sylvia, they just don't know him.
Look right through him. Or treat him like some random person who wandered in. It's chilling.
He goes back to his flat, his building. And they're showing his apartment to new tenants.
Can't get a taxi to stop. Even when he finds Jessica later at that party, she just looks at him blankly.
Dreadful memory for faces, she says.
Unbelievable. He even tries calling the police about the men who were after him.
And the operator asks if anyone's there. Like
Yep.
The line's dead.
Yeah. He hasn't just left his old life. His old life has completely erased him. He's become a non-person. Invisible.
It's a powerful idea, isn't it? How much our reality depends on those connections, on being seen. Break them, and you just vanish from that world.
And when you fall through those cracks in London above, well, you land somewhere else entirely.
London below. It really is like falling down a different rabbit hole.
And almost straight away, he runs into two figures who are memorable, let's say, Mr. Croup and Mr. Vandemar.
Chilling is the word I'd use. They show up at his apartment looking for They call her Doreen. Say she ran away, she's funny.
And they are just unsettling. Vandemar's this big guy, bullet head. Croup is foxy. They just walk in, sniffing the air like animals.
And Richard notices his bathroom, which was a mess of blood and bandages moments before, is suddenly spotless.
Gleamingly clean. Yeah, that's the first hint these guys aren't exactly normal.
And then they start talking about their history.
Oh yeah, casually mentioning they burned down the city of Troy, brought the Black Plague to Flanders, assassinated popes, kings, 2 accredited gods.
Good grief. They're not just thugs. They're like ancient forces of bad news.
And they demonstrate it. Vandemar cuts his own hand open with a knife,
Spits on it.
rubs it in, and the wound just heals instantly.
We hurt people, Croup says. We don't get hurt.
Yeah, that sets the stakes pretty clearly. This is not London above anymore. The danger is real, and it's ancient. maybe magical.
So his old life is gone. These terrifying guys are after him. Richard is well and truly pulled into London below.
Completely. He gets attacked soon after by someone called the Lord Rat Speaker, threatened with a glass knife. There's no going back now.
He's terrified, obviously, but he's not alone. He's with Dor. And soon he meets her allies, the Marquis de Carabas.
Very mysterious.
And Hunter, who sounds formidable.
Extremely. And Dor herself, she's crucial. She has this family power, this ability to open doors.
Yeah, not just physical doors, right?
No, like shortcuts. Passages between places. She can open away from a normal street into some forsaken alley or find a hidden path lit by gaslight, like Orm Passage. It's how they navigate this shifting world.
It's a strange mix of the practical and the, well, magical. They even use talking pigeons for messages.
Right. Richard finds that hard to believe, obviously, but Dor just talks to them. It works.
Even the darkness is different. On Knight's Bridge, he feels it as something solid and real.
Yeah, it shows how fundamental things, basic perceptions, are different down there.
And their journey takes them through some pretty weird places. The floating market.
That's a key location. It's not fixed. It moves around London below. And you don't buy things with money. You trade, you swap.
What kind of things do they see there?
All sorts. A hand of glory. Strange jewelry. Richard glimpses a small sleeve market he quickly avoids. Even a dentist chair with a hand drill.
Grim. It's like a whole hidden society with its own economy, its own values.
And people from London above stick out like a sore thumb. They're viewed with suspicion. Richard actually manages to trade a pen and some matches for food.
Then there's that scene at Earl's Court. In a train carriage that doesn't go anywhere.
They meet the Earl. He's got this lopsided eye, sends regards to Dor's father, Portico. And there's a guy called Dagvard.
Oh, the chocolate bar guy.
Yeah. Wraps the vending machine with his glove, says, "Orders from the Earl, chocolates," and out they come endlessly.
Bizarre. It shows these little pockets of power, these fiefdoms within London below.
And they also meet Old Bailey. He lives up high, on rooftops, Center Point specifically.
Hates ground level, hates the tube.
Right, and he talks to rats. They're like his spies, his information network. He keeps stories, objects, including a statue of the Great Beast of London.
So this world is dense, packed with history, politics, strange characters.
Definitely. And as they travel, they start piecing together what happened to Dor's family. Croup and Vandemar, they were just the tool.
Arms, hands, fingers.
Exactly. Someone else, ahead, ordered the killing. Someone who wants Dor dead, too.
And Dor finds this out from a recording left by her father.
Yeah, a gramophone recording. His image appears, gives her instructions. But weirdly, he tells her to trust someone called Islington.
Believe in Islington. Avenge us. It seems contradictory.
Very. But it gives them a direction, a goal. Trust Islington, find Islington.
But the journey there is still dangerous. That mind-the-gap creature on the tube platform.
Terrifying. Like black smoke tries to pull Richard onto the tracks. Hunter has to fight it off.
Leaves him marked too. Bleached jeans, these little purple welts.
A physical reminder of the dangers. And then there are the Velvets.
Smooth, quiet, but they drink life force.
Yeah, leave you cold, empty. One of them, Lamia, goes for Richard. Tries to steal his warmth.
But then the Marquis comes back.
Dramatic entrance. Turns out he survived being chucked in the sewer earlier. He just appears, scoops up Lamia, warns the Velvets off Richard.
That feels like a big moment for Richard. The Marquis actually protecting him.
It is. Shows the Marquis's resilience, too. And speaking of restrictions, what about Hunter? She can't go up to London above, can she?
No, she calls it a curse or something, like a socially embarrassing disease. She's stuck below while Dor and Richard pop up occasionally.
It highlights how these boundaries work, these rules, maybe curses, that bind people in London below.
And they do go back up, briefly, to the British Museum. Richard's old company is having an event there.
Must have been so strange, being back in that world, but invisible.
He actually sees Jessica again there, tries to talk to her.
And she still doesn't recognize him, just the dreadful memory for faces line again.
Yep, total blank.
Yeah.
But it's a moment of clarity for Richard, isn't it?
I think so. He tells her straight, "Mayhew, Richard Mayhew, you dumped me and I don't exist anymore."
And then he says, "I'm a believer." He's chosen his reality now.
Yeah, a powerful moment of owning his new existence. And just as they leave, they spot Croup and Vandemar.
Visible only to them, lurking.
And Croup whispers that warning to Dor. "You've been sold out. There's a traitor in your nest."
Chilling. Sets up the final act, which involves an ordeal.
With the Black Friars. They live below London, in a monastery. They have a key, but you have to pass their test.
And Richard's test is mostly in his head, right?
Primarily psychological, yeah. An illusion appears. Another Richard. Clean, well-dressed, the guy he used to be.
Tries to convince him London below is just a breakdown, a hallucination.
Exactly. That his real life is waiting, that Jessica just left because he vanished. Mocks his experiences, calls them imaginary friends.
But Richard doesn't buy it.
No, he rejects it. You aren't even very convincing, he tells the illusion. That choice to stick with the reality he's found, no matter how hard it is, that's the core, I think. Reality is what you commit to.
Then he has to physically get the key from a shrine, and he declares, I am not a poor creature.
Right. Despite being hurt, it's a real moment of asserting himself. He gets the key.
And with that key, they finally reach Islington in this huge great hall.
Islington looks angelic. Tall, pearl gray eyes. But that's just the surface.
Because Croup and Vandemar are there too, and they start taunting them. Break Richard's finger.
And they use Portico's voice, a recording, twisting his words, trying to trick Dor into fearing Islington.
And then the truth comes out. Islington isn't the helper. Islington is the head.
The one who ordered Dor's family killed? Croup and Vandemar didn't just carry it out. They faked that original message to lure Dor right to the killer. Horrifying.
And the traitor. The one Croup mentioned.
Confirmed. It was Hunter. The Marquis says he found out the hard way.
Which implies his own near-death experience being thrown in the sewer, found, nursed back. That was all tied into Islington and Hunter's betrayal somehow.
Adds another tragic layer to it all. So now everything's out in the open. The stakes couldn't be higher.
And Richard faces another ordeal. The labyrinth.
Described as being made of lost fragments of London above, constantly changing, confusing, and inside, the great beast of London.
Which sounds terrifying. Covered in old weapons, smells awful, but it's fast.
Richard confronts it in a marshy bit of the labyrinth.
He actually manages to stab it with a spear.
He does, plays a key part. But it costs Hunter her life. She's fatally wounded.
Her death scene sounds quite powerful. She laughs, calls Richard the greatest hunter.
Yeah, it's strained, but maybe profound. She gives him her knife, tells him to touch the beast's blood to his eyes and tongue.
Like a ritual, passing on power or sight.
Seems like it. Her death is a major turning point.
So, back with Islington, the final confrontation. Islington offers Dor a deal. Her sister's location if she opens this big black door.
Presumably to free Islington completely, but Dor, she's changed. She's strong now.
She refuses. Uses her power, her door-opening ability.
Not for Islington, but against him. She opens a door as far and hard away as I could, banishes Islington, Croup, and Vandemar.
Wow. That must take everything she has.
It drains her physically, but it's her victory. Justice, in a way.
And the Marquis. He was chained up with Richard then.
He was, but Dor's final act frees him too. His whole arc, the fake death, the recovery, coming back to save Richard, it just underlines how resilient, how London below he is.
So after all that, Richard just finds himself back in London, above.
Yeah, suddenly back, disoriented. He tries to slot back in.
Gets his flat back, sort of the landlord gives him a penthouse and compensation.
Grudgingly, yeah. He even gets promoted at work. Junior partner. Gary, his old colleague, is stunned.
But he's changed too much, hasn't he? He doesn't fit anymore.
Not really. He's there physically, but mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
He's somewhere else. Talking to Jessica is weird. She just doesn't get it.
The everyday stuff, the pub chats with colleagues, it all feels shallow, uninteresting.
Like distractions, yeah. The clink of glasses, the jukebox, just noise.
There's that great little moment with the rat, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. He sees a rat in the hallway. His
Bug.
neighbors, the Buchanans, are disgusted. That's London for you, isn't it?
And Richard just kind of acknowledges it, agrees, but with a completely different understanding. He knows rats now in a way they don't.
Exactly. And his old stuff. Still in boxes. He never really untacked, never really came back.
And the ending.
Yeah.
He meets Dor again.
Yeah. Near marshes, forests. She looks different, too. It suggests the connection isn't broken. They're still tied to London below, even if they're physically standing in London above.
The door isn't fully closed.
Not at all.
So wrapping this up, Richard's journey is incredible. Starts as this ordinary guy. One act of kindness throws his whole life off the rails.
Yeah, strips away his identity, throws him into this dangerous, amazing world under London. He faces monsters, betrayals, finds allies.
Goes through this huge personal test, this ordeal, and has to basically choose his reality. And he comes out the other side completely changed. He doesn't fit back in the old box.
It really makes you think about perception, doesn't it? How much of your reality is just what you choose to see or what you're allowed to see?
Are there these hidden layers, these other worlds just under the surface of our own cities, our own lives, that maybe we just ignore?
What's the price of stepping outside that comfort zone? Or maybe what's the reward?
The book mentions how London swallowed up little villages, just left their names behind.
Right. And maybe that's our final thought for you to chew on. What if London below is that? The memory, the living presence of all those forgotten places, those people who fell through the cracks of history.
Always there, just beneath the pavement.
Waiting. Accessible, maybe, if you know how to look. Or if, like Richard, you just happen to do the right kind thing at the wrong or maybe the right moment and find yourself falling through. It's not just Richard's story, it's a story about the secret life of the city itself.